I've come out here to Moree in northern New South Wales, and I'm talking to Andrew Pitman, one of the directors of Pitman Deakin. Andrew, you got a quarter of a century of experience as a livestock agent.
Absolutely.
Enlighten us, mate. How do livestock markets work? This video was made possible by Farm Style Insurance. If you have a property between 2 and 100 hectares that turns over less than $50,000 a year, you could be missing out on some great savings and also the cover that you need for the things you value. So get onto Farm Style Insurance in the description below this video and find out today what you could be saving and, more importantly, what you could be gaining.
Sell when you want to sell, not when you've got to sell.
Now, what does that mean?
Well, it really means if I've still got a little bit of feed up my sleeve, but I've got some stock to sell, I start marketing them now. I don't wait till I discover that I'm out of feed, the cattle are probably just about to lose weight, or the sheep are just about to lose weight, and I've left my run too late. I'm then selling when everyone else is selling, because everybody will probably run out of feed at the same time. Get in early. Try not to be selling when everybody else is selling. If you can possibly do it, that's when you should be buying. But look, seasonal conditions make that very difficult to get right.
So having said that markets are really simple, there are some tricks and some sort of little anomalies in here that we need to know about as well, aren't there?
People get carried away with what the overseas markets are doing. A lot of it in Australia comes down to kill space and season.
Tell me a little bit about kill space, because a lot of people are talking about kill space driving the market. You reckon that it's really a reflection of the average market? Yeah,
look, we're being held back at the moment with kill space. We've had an issue with not enough willing workers in abattoirs for them to be at full capacity. And look, our numbers of sheep and cattle have built up again since the big drought in 2019. So all of a sudden, we tend to be running at capacity with a lot of the meatworks, and that is, I guess, holding us back. The world market at the moment for red meat and protein is very high, but you know, the limiting factor is getting the stock killed.
So the stock's there, the market's there, but there's this bottleneck which is created by the average. Now, we can't just suddenly build more abattoirs, can we? Because there's a flow-on effect of that as well, isn't there?
Well, there'll be a flow-on effect there. I mean, if we get another dry spell, the extra abattoirs would be at capacity, and then when it rains, it's very expensive to have an abattoirs that's not working. So all of a sudden, after a drought, it's a boom-bust cycle. After a drought, there'll be a limited number of sheep and cattle on the market. Therefore, you know, then the abattoirs will then suffer as well. So it becomes a boom-bust cycle, the way the weather in Australia works.
The climate really matters?
The climate really matters. Look, a lot of it comes down to rainfall. Sometimes if you've had a dry spell and a lot of numbers of sheep and cattle on the market, and then there'll be a forecast of good rain, you'll see the market go up on the forecast.
Yep.
The forecast will make the market go up. Sometimes it won't go any higher if it does rain, but it's just a forecast of rain gives hope to people and encourages people to get out there, possibly stop selling what they were going to sell, or even start buying, which pushes the market up.
So once again, it's human psychology pushing the market around, isn't it?
It is.
Now, I've got a question about lots and putting together lots, and the big boys would already obviously know this, but particularly for the smaller guys, lot numbers really matter, and this is where your stock and station agent comes in, and I know you are one, but you make an important point in this. When you're putting together lot numbers, that can influence the price that you get per head.
Absolutely. I mean, if I was marketing steers or heifers or anything off this farm, and it was dry, and the closest feed was at Wagga in southern New South Wales, I wouldn't want to put 20 up for sale. I'd rather combine, even if the lot's not as even as it could be, I'd rather come up with the closest thing I can to a truckload, which might be 100 weaners, or it might be, you know, 70 bigger steers, or whatever that may be, to make it easy for whoever's bidding from the south to be able to buy them. If I had smaller lots, I think I'd rather, if there wasn't a lot of feed locally, I think I'd rather put them in a sale yard where someone can actually buy several pens and put them together and make their own load.
So think about the transport. Don't just think about the animals that you've got to sell. Think about the costs and the mucking around that's involved for someone to actually get access to buy them who might be living in another state.
I think the way to put it is the seller should also consider that he's paying for the transport, because the buyer will factor in the transport cost with what his maximum capacity is to spend. So if you can put up a full truckload, on a per head basis, it's much cheaper for the buyer to truck them home.
So you'll get a
therefore
higher price.
He's going to bid more on your stock.
Obviously been practicing in traditional markets for some time, but you've got a little bit of a family history with Auctions Plus as well. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Well, my wife's father, who's passed away now, Alan Rowe, was with Meat and Livestock Australia when the concept came up for CALM, Computer-Aided Livestock Marketing,
Yep.
which then became Auctions Plus. So Alan actually did the first ever assessment, which would have been back in the late 80s, early 90s, on some sheep at a farm called Cobraball at Walker. And that was the first ever assessment done with Auctions Plus. Now, it was obviously before its time. There was no internet. It was all very expensive dial-up connections with phones. It was really too much before its time, but it's really taken off.
And then COVID happened, and all of a sudden everyone's on Auctions Plus.
All of a sudden everyone's on Auctions Plus. So Auctions Plus is a great tool to be used with other selling methods, that's for sure.
We're using Auctions Plus. We're getting on, we're going to put up our pen for sale, we're going to start writing the description. There's some red flags in the descriptions that you look for as a stock and station agent, aren't there?
I like to see straight to the point facts about the line of stock that are being sold. I don't really want to see the assessor talk about a great opportunity to purchase. The assessor, he or she, is there to describe the sheep or cattle as accurately as they possibly can.
So it's not your traditional sort of cheesy preamble in a house auction here.
It should be the facts of what the livestock are, so that when those livestock get to the purchaser's place, they'll come off the truck and the purchaser is happy that they are as described. You don't see it a lot, but from time to time there'll be claims of misdescription, and some of it may be the ability of the assessor. That's where, if you've got a relationship with a livestock agent, they can go and look at the stock if you're not happy with them and help you work out a deal with the person who sold them.
What are some statements that you would be expecting to see in the description?
Well, I would expect to see in the written description, I mean, through the assessment, you've already got the numbers, the breed description, and the quality. I think the written description should just describe in a nutshell what the livestock are.
Where they're at right now.
Yep. You know, you might say well presented. That's not a glory term as such. Well presented line of class breeding ewes. Well presented line of Angus heifers. The lead 60 of 80 Angus heifers, whatever it might be.
Now, dealing with your livestock agent, what do livestock agents like to see their clients doing, and what do they not like to see their clients doing?
I think people need a good relationship with their livestock agent. They've got the agent and vendor have to trust each other. If there's any lack of trust, well then they need to part ways and find someone better. So I just think the livestock agent shouldn't just be there when they want to sell some stock. They should be there to help them with adjustment, advice on feeding, especially advice with NLIS systems, you know, with scanning sheep and cattle.
And that's getting more and more onerous and complicated by the day, isn't it?
Look, it is, and livestock agents generally are doing a lot more of it, so they can give some good advice when it comes to the NLIS system with their clients.
And you can line up the paperwork before the time so that when you come to sell the stock and you need to move them, it's a smooth process.
A smooth process and no surprises with losing lifetime traceability and different things that can happen if you don't get the NLI system correct.
Andrew, thank you very much for your time today. We've got some great insights here, mate. Get on to Pitman Deakin if you've got livestock to sell anywhere in the northern New South Wales region. I can assure you that Andrew is a good man. I've spent the day out with him today and he's got some fantastic cattle of his own, so he understands where the growers are at. If you like this kind of video, have a look at the next one that's just about to pop up on the screen now. Like and subscribe because it really helps the channel. And if you've got any questions for Andrew, pop them into the comments section and we'll see if we can go about getting another interview with Andrew down the track to answer even more questions. Andrew, I can't wait.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tim.